message we do get every time when we are at it, but especially when we start speaking to
All right, so we seem to have lost our presenter. All right, so we are about to get started, friends. Welcome to the show. We are live right on this platform, but also we are live, of course, on Live Radio 97.3 FM. So our presenter is Thomas, and he's having some technical challenges, but he should be able to be back any second from now. So we're looking at a fundamental topic, and today's topic is, of course, what to do before contracting debt. All right, so that's the topic that we're looking at, and of course, Thomas is back. I hope we don't lose him again.
Mr. Lusambo.
Yes, Thomas, welcome back. We are live already. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We had lost
so
you.
stand by. Yeah. Stand by. It is 15:48. Come on now. Welcome to business today, right here on the Live Radio 97.3 FM. This is where we plug you in with regards to the happenings in the space of business. And of course, every Thursdays, we take an interest and appreciate in conversations anchored on financial literacy. And this afternoon, I'm privileged to be joined electronically or virtually by a financial analyst as well as a chartered accountant.
All right, we have lost Mr. Thomas again. He seems to be having a very terrible network. We hope he comes back soon. And is the presenter? It's not my channel, it's the radio station. So, unfortunately, I can't proceed. I have to wait for him to be back so that we can start together. But because I am the guest and I'm the one who is here, that's interesting. But anyway, we are looking at what to do before contracting debt. As you know, the debt situation in this country is turning out to be a very bad one. People are highly indebted. And last year, we saw the statistics of 76% of civil servants being in debt with no clue of how to come out of debt. And some other people are in debt, either business loans, either personal loans, even just debt from friends, family, and their loved ones. So we want to explore different avenues, different areas of what one can do before contracting debt. So what do you do before you contract debt? That's the main issue that you're going to be able to talk about this particular afternoon. And of course, I'm going to be joined by Thomas. Thomas is from a presenter from Live Radio 97.3 FM. He's back. I hope this time around we'll have it for longer. Yes, Thomas, we lost you. You seem to have a terrible network that side.
Hello, Mr. Lusambo. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, clear. I can hear you. Oh, we have lost Thomas. All right. We have lost. Thomas is gone. All right.
Who comes to kill, steal, as well as destroy?
Okay, you seem to have a network problem there, my brother. We're losing you.
Yeah, but we are trying by all means to. I seem to be back. On Facebook, go to Shadrach, the chartered accountant. We are very much live right there. Mr. Lusambo, let's quickly get into our conversation for today. Appreciating all things, the steps to what we need to do in appreciating the conversation of Nkongole.
Yes, indeed. So we are looking at debt and, of course, what to do before you contract debt. And this is a fundamental topic part because, last year we saw the statistics where we were informed that 76% of civil servants were highly indebted with absolutely no clue of how they're going to come out of that debt. And of course, several other households were also highly indebted. And just this year, last week, we saw the statistics for divorce rates. We have now moved from 22,000 divorces that took place in Zambia to now 31,000 and counting. So all these issues have been attributed to many factors, but among the top three reasons why people are divorcing worldwide, including right here in Zambia, is partly because of financial problems, and that may include the debt situation. So to ease the burden on somebody who wants to get into debt, this afternoon I want to get into the details of what should you do before you contract debt. But because it's extremely important process to understand what to do before you get it. But because debt is not free, Thomas, as you know, when you get debt, you're getting someone else's money. So now we want to look at the few bits and pieces that one can be able to look at before they contract debt, especially now in 2023, where we have the global shortages roaming, and we have seen that the monetary policy has been adjusted upwards. Just today, I received a message from my bank telling me that they are going to, of course, adjust those who have loans upwards or extend the period. So that means debt is going to be extremely expensive going forward. So you want to think twice before you go and borrow other people's money. All right. So now we want to get into the details of what should you do before you contract debt. Now, I want to just bring to your attention there are four main things that people do before that we must be able to do before contracting debt. What should you do before? All right. Now, before you contract debt, it's extremely important to ask yourself this question: why do you need the debt? That's the very important question. And no, there are three main reasons why people need debt. One of them is because there are problems. All right, they have problems. That's the main reason people get debt. Some people get debt because they have seen an opportunity and they want to go and invest. And some people get debt because it's available. So there are all those reasons why people get debt. One, because they have personal problems. Number two, because they have seen an opportunity to want to invest. And then number three, some people get debt simply because it's available and it seems to be cheaper. This is why we need to understand what must you do before you contract debt, but because debt comes with a cost. Debt comes with an interest. Right now, in this context, I want us to begin by addressing the first aspect of somebody who's getting debt. Are you getting debt for any of those reasons? Are you getting debt because there are problems? Or are you getting debt because you want to go and invest? Or are you getting debt because it's available? So there are those three reasons why people get debt. Now, we want to establish before you get debt, why are you getting the debt? That's the question that we like to answer, so that we can see what should you do. If you're getting debt because of an opportunity, that's a different arrangement. If you're getting debt because there are problems, that's also a different arrangement. If you're getting debt because it's available, the CDF, the CEC giving out those loans, and then you say, what, I'm going to apply, that's also a different arrangement. So the question is, you must answer first, why are you getting the debt? That's the first thing you must be able to understand and answer before you contract it. Now, if you establish why you are getting the debt, it's going to help you also to know what amount of debt are you looking for. That's extremely important. So once you know why you're getting the debt, it will help you to know the sources where you can get that particular debt. So now I want to speak from different perspectives here. I want to speak about somebody wants to get debt because they have seen an opportunity, right? And then somebody wants to get debt because they have problems, and then somebody wants to get debt because it's available. Now, let's begin with somebody who wants to get debt because they have problems. For somebody who's getting debt because there are problems, if you are married, first of all, it's important that you communicate with your spouse. Okay, you sit down with your wife, your family, or your fiance, anybody that you are seeing, that you can discuss with them this idea of why you want to get the debt. Why is this important? But because if you get debt, all right, either way, it's going to affect your social finance, but because you're going to pay it back, and more often than not, to pay back debt with interest. So what do you want? You want to make sure that your spouse, your fiancé, or of course your family, they understand why you're getting the debt and how you're going to spend that particular debt. Don't get a loan in secrecy. If you're a married person, you can't get the debt alone and use it, because when you get paid, it's going to affect the cash flow of that particular household. So you want to tell your wife, you want to tell your husband before you contract, so you can hear their views. And of course, maybe make a plan of how you're going to pay it back as a family. That's going to be extremely very helpful for both of you if you're in a relationship. Now, the problem that we have with most households in our country, that people get debt without informing their fiance, without informing their spouse. They just get debt because they have a job and they think they're going to pay it back. Well, the reason why you tell your fiance about debt is partly because this is the person you want to get married to. It's important before you make important financial decisions, you consult with them. But because that debt, if you get it and then you get married to this person, it's going to become family debt. It will be affecting the cash flow of that particular household. So it's important before you get the debt, you table it with your fiance. If you have a wife, you talk to your wife, all right? Because your wife is just as important as you in that particular household, just like your fiance is important. You don't want to get debt alone in isolation. So that is part number one. So first of all, talk to your family, talk to your wife, talk to your fiance before you contract debt, so that you can make a plan of how you're going to be paying it back. If you get debt in secrecy and then you have to pay it back, for example, if your fiance knows how much money you get paid or your wife knows how much money you get paid, and then you bring something short, you'll be having financial problems. So being open about debt also eases the burden on you and also helps the other person to understand you even better. When you say you do not have, they're going to understand you. Maybe you're setting out a debt or something like that. So that's point number one before you get the debt if you're a married person. Talk to your wife. If you're not married, you have a fiance, talk to your fiance. If you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, talk to them. Let them know you're about to get the debt because it will affect the both of you. And of course, we can now go to the second one.
All right, interestful.
Yes. Please go ahead.
All right, Mr. Lusambo. Now, you've talked about quite a number of things in your explanation, and I'd want us to surely bring the live listener up to speed in just bullet point form, just your introduction on the elements we're supposed to consider when we would want to surely contract date, and we move forward to surely the quick talking points that you have for us this afternoon. Maybe in bullet point form, you might want to surely highlight what you've talked about in your introduction, because we're a bit off on radio.
All right, so we are saying that there are three reasons why people get debt. For example, before you contract debt, ask yourself this question: why do you need the debt? Now, we said there are three reasons why people get debt. Number one is because they have problems. Number two is because we are getting some feedback from your end, Mr. Thomas. You may want to mute. Okay, fantastic. So I was saying that before you get the debt, you have to ask yourself the question: why are you getting debt? That's the most important question to answer, because there are three reasons why people get debt. Number one is because they have problems. Number two is because they have seen an opportunity which they want to go and utilize. Number three is because it's just available. So those are the three reasons why people get debt. And we said no. Now there are three kinds of people here. There's somebody who has problems, there's somebody who has an opportunity, and there's somebody who just has a chance to get debt because it's available. So once you answer, and then you went to somebody who has a family. If you have a family, you're a married person, you can't get debt in isolation, from your spouse. You have to talk to your spouse to let them know, I want to get this debt, so that they can advise. Sometimes you may get a different opinion from your wife or your husband or your spouse, or now you're going to sort out the problem instead of using debt. That's one thing we're talking about. And then we say, okay, fine, if you don't have a wife, you don't have a husband, it's important to talk to your girlfriend, your fiancé, or your boyfriend, because these are important people in your life. If you've engaged somebody, right, you're committing yourself to them that you're going to stay to spend the rest of your life with them. It's important for them to know before you borrow money, because that debt, when you get married, it's going to become family debt. You're going to be paying it as a family. Once you get paid, they'll be deducting from your payslip, or maybe you'll be paying somebody from your salary. It's going to be affecting the cash flow in this particular household. So it's important for a fiance to know before you contracted it. Now, there are some times where people say they want to get debt because they have seen an opportunity. Right now, here's what we advise on that one. There are two kinds of opportunities. There's somebody who wants to get debt because they want to start a business. And then there's somebody who wants to get debt because, of course, they have seen an opportunity. That's a different situation. If you want to get debt to start a business, that's a terrible idea, but because you've not yet learned the lesson that you need to learn before start a business. So don't get debt to start a business. That is a terrible idea, all right? When you are doing focus and estimates of the business, it's important to understand that there are lots of things we do not know at the moment that are going to pop up only later when you start operating. So you don't want to start experimenting with other people's money, All right. So don't get debt if your idea of getting debt is to go and start a business, because that's an experiment which you're getting yourself into. You don't know what happens, you don't know the do's and don'ts. And there's always something about a business that you do not know that's going just to pop up, and before you know it, it's crippling your finances. So it's extremely important before you get debt to consider all those things. All right. Now, the other point is where you're getting debt because you've seen an opportunity. This is a person who has a business already running. You know your operating costs. You know the do's and don'ts. You've learned your lessons. Probably you've made some losses, and now you understand, what you're getting yourself into because you've been operating for some time now. You can go and contract debt. Now, before you do that, ask yourself a question: is this debt? All right, because there are four things that you must understand before you get there. Let me just share my screen to just explain it from this perspective, for us to be able to just maybe understand it from this side. All right, or what you need to consider, of course, before you actually contract this particular debt. And now one of the things you must consider is what I'm sharing on the screen here, just to help you see that it's important to look at these factors before you contract debt part, because they're going to affect your money. Number one, look at the debt you're getting. What is the maturity premium? Right? Sometimes debt, depending on how long you're going to stay with debt, it's going to affect your interest payment. If you're getting debt from the bank, ask yourself, how long will this debt last? All right. If you're going to get debt that's going to last for 1 year, obviously the interest rate is going to be different from somebody getting debt for 5 years, but because the debt for a longer period of time tends to be more expensive than the debt for a short period of time, but because of inflation. So what the banks do, they don't want to be the ones to pay inflation. What the banks are going to do, they are going to incorporate what is called inflation compensation in your debt payment, so that you keep paying the bank an amount that takes into account inflation. So if you're going to get debt for 5 years, you're going to pay a lot of money in 5 years' time. So it's extremely important to understand how long is this debt going to last. Is it a short-term debt or is it a long-term debt? Because maturity period also determines the interest you're going to be able to pay. But also the bank, from their end, they are going to consider your default risk, inflation, and of course the risk-free rate. These are other things I can't explain now, but just to give an idea on the maturity premium and the liquidity premium, that is important for the banks to know, for you to also know when this is going to mature. Because the banks on their end, they are looking at you from these 5 elements. They're looking at the maturity premium, liquidity premium, default risk, expected inflation, and then risk-free. Then they decide how much debt to give you after they look at this. So you must look at your debt from the bank's perspective. That helps you to understand what debt is good for you and what interest rate is going to be good for you. It is also important to know that. But let me just give you a brief idea, all right, of what this would look like when you are considering what debt to get. Let me give you just a brief example so that you can just look at this in a different sense. I'm going to share with you a loan schedule here. This is a schedule that we use, when you want to. We use this schedule to just, count for how much debt you're going to get. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say you want to get a 1 million, right? You want to get 1 million kwacha. So 1 million kwacha is a big amount of money. The banks obviously will not give it to you at 29%. You find that if you're getting a huge amount of money, they're going to give you at a very reduced interest rate. Maybe they're going to give you 6% interest rate, all right, for example. Now, if you're going to pay this money in 5 years' time, that means you're going to pay after 60 months. So they are going to deduct from your salary 60 times, so that you can be able to pay back this money. If this loan is given to you at 6%, that means your monthly payment for that particular period is going to be how much? 19,332 kwacha.8 for the all 60 months. So you can see, if we come here, all right, if we come here to 60 months, you're going to see in month number 60, that is 5 years' time, your debt has been liquidated and you are paying 0 kwacha because the debt has been reduced. But now, where there's a problem is here. This is what you must understand before you get it. If you see, the bank is going to show you these payments, fixed payments every month, 19,332.8. So you're going to be saying, fine, I'll be paying 19,332 every particular month. But that's not true, all right? Because the banks are not fools. They are giving you money to come and pay back after 5 years' time. In 5 years' time, there will be inflation. Inflation means the rate at which money will lose its value. So by the time you be giving the bank money, that money would have lost value. So how do the banks add value to that money? They're going to charge you an interest rate that incorporates inflation inside to compensate for the loss of the value of money with time. This is why if you're able to see here from your interest amount, you see on 1 million kwacha at 6% interest per month, you'll be paying 5,000 interest in the first month. Second month, it's going down to 49, 48, 47, 471, 46. But if you notice your principal amount on the other hand, this is what you don't see from your payslip. Your principal amount on the other hand is increasing. Look at that. You are remaining 14,332.8. Look at that, 14,400, 14,476. So your principal keeps on going up all the way to 15. You can see it's going up, goes to 16. So what the debt owners done, they have incorporated inflation so that you be the one to pay for your inflation. But they can't show you this, or they show you on your payslip. You're going to see, even on your loan, you're going to see fixed payment, and then you're going to see the residual value, the amount of money which has remained after you have been able to settle the debt. So when we say you have to consider the maturity, this, what we're trying to tell you is that the longer the loan, the longer the period, the more expensive the debt is going to be. All right. So you have to understand before you contract it, how long is the period, because that period will determine how much interest you're going to be able to pay the bank. Now, if you look at this one here, you got $1 million kwacha here. You got $1 million kwacha. Look at how much you're going to pay. Of course, in about 6 months. Look at the interest you're going to pay in 5 years' time. You are going to pay the bank quite a huge amount of money on that particular debt. So you can see it's almost going to double the amount that you got. But this is a bit different. Imagine if you got 500,000 kwacha, for example, at 25%, at 29%. If you got, say, debt of 500,000 kwacha, maybe for example, at 29%, you're going to see 500,000 kwacha. The interest is going to be different from somebody getting in millions, because for you, you're getting a small amount of money, and the small amount of money will mean you're going to charge you a bit higher interest than somebody getting a huge amount of money. So the size of the debt you're getting also determines the interest you're going to pay. So if you look at somebody who's got 500,000 kwacha, look at the interest rate. It's extremely very high. Look at how much you're going to pay in 2 years' time, in 5 years' time. You're going to pay almost double. This is about 952,256.1. You just got how much? You just got 500,000 kwacha. So with the passage of time, you end up paying more. All right. You can see your principal loan is increasing every month. Every month you're paying more. Every month it's increasing. The principal is increasing every month. Look at your interest rates. Seem to be reducing, but that's not true, because the bank have already put in time value of money. So before you get the debt, ask yourself this question: how long am I going to pay back this money? That's going to determine your interest rate. It's going to determine also how much you're going to be stressed. All right. But also helps you to understand the levels of risk involved. If you get a short-term loan, they are quite volatile, and they are very risky, because if you don't pay back, the bank can come to your shop or to your company and grab your assets and sell them before you know you're out of business. If you get a long-term loan, it's going to give some breathing space, but that also is going to help you, to invest, and also to take your time, to recover if you've been having some financial problems. So these are some of the few bits and pieces you want to consider before you contract debt. Consider the period of that particular debt. How long will it take for you to pay back that loan? All right, that helps you to know. But again, here's the other issue you have to consider. Consider the business you're going to put money into. If you're getting, for example, 500,000 kwacha and you want to invest into a business, you must know what is called the internal rate of return. The rate of return at which your investment will give you no money, at which your NPV is going to be zero. Why is that important? Because understanding your internal rate of return helps you to know what interest rates you can negotiate with your bank. If you're getting a huge amount of money from the bank, you are at liberty to negotiate for a better interest rate. A lot of people don't negotiate. They don't know that. They just got the bank. They are told you're giving out 29%. What do they get 29%? No. You can negotiate for a better interest rate, especially if you understand your rate of return. Now, if you look at what they have here, all right, if you look at what the document they have here, just as an example, we have somebody who has bought 100,000 kwacha, and then they are going to make an investment into the business. These are their cash flows, roughly. So you can see that the rate of return at 29%, 500,000 kwacha, is about how much? Is about 30.9%. That means this person should not get a loan at 29%, because if you get a loan at 29%, your internal rate of return is about 30.9%. This is the rate of return at which your NPV will go to zero. So at this percent, you can't make any money on your business, on your investment, right? So if you make any straight mistake, any change in the price of any of these items here is going to make you incur a loss. So now this gives you an idea of what, if you're going to put your loan into a business. First of all, See experts to help you understand the levels of risk you're exposing yourself to before you invest. Because sometimes some businesses look like you're making money in the first year. Look at the first year. The first year for this business, you're making quite some money here. But if you go into details, look at the third year, look at the first year, second year, third year, you begin to make losses. There's no money. You have red balances yet to show that your money has reduced. You are making losses. So it's important to understand what is the suitable interest rate for your business before you can go and get a loan. So these are the things you must understand. Understand your internal rate of return. What is your internal rate of return on your business that you want to go and put this money into? Because if you get a $500,000 from the bank and then somebody told you, you know what, you're going to be making a profit of about 230, no, that's not true. Because of time value of money and inflation, money is going to be losing value with time, but also your costs are going to be increasing with time. So it's important to do an analysis to understand what is your internal rate of return, and also you need to do what is called the modified duration. The duration simply means the period it's going to take for you to recover your initial investment. So you want to know these things before you get the debt. Some people get the debt out of excitement because it's available, and then they invest in a business. Before they know it, they've defaulted. They even begin to think somebody did witchcraft on them. No, it's not witchcraft. You didn't plan. You didn't consult experts. You didn't analyze your internal rate of return. You didn't look at the payback period. You didn't look at the sensitiveness of your costs. You didn't look at your investment, your NPV. You didn't do any of those things. You just got debt because somebody told you it's available and they're giving at a reduced interest rate. Before you know it, you are making losses. So it's important, friends, before you get debt, you go through these things. Number one, understand your internal rate of return for the business you want to invest into, because this shows you the rate of interest at which your NPV is going to be equal to 0. Now look at that. Your rate of return at which your investment are going to be 0 is 30.9%. And then look at your loan. You're getting the loan at how much? At 9%. That means any slight mistake in the costs. If you just give somebody a small discount from 180 here, if you're selling your product at 180, you just give a small discount, just a small discount of 5.175, you're going to see it's going to change everything. Look at your rate of return has gone down to 29.3%, which means a small discount to give to somebody can even affect your profits in the long run. So you want to understand this information before you go and contract debt. So like I was saying, unfortunately, our presenter from live radio as a network problems. He was supposed to be the one to read the conversation, to ask me the questions. Unfortunately, I am the guest on the show, and I'm the one who is now running the show because the presenter has logged out. The network is bad, and I don't know what questions the man had for me. I don't know how many questions he had for me and what he wanted to ask me. But of course, what I'm saying here, I'm explaining to you the things you have to look out for before you contract debt. That is basically number one item that you must look out for before you contract debt. Look at the period that's going to take to pay your initial investment. The maturity is important. Consider your internal rate of return and the payback period. Of course, consider expected inflation and the risk-free rate. It's important to know these things before you go and contract debt. But because if you don't consider these things, they're going to make losses. But again, the other thing that you must know, that you must consider, of course, before you contract debt, the other thing you must consider is this. We talk about the source of the debt is important. Are you going to get debt from a Shylock? Are you going to get debt from the bank? Are you going to get debt from your family member? Or are you going to get your debt from the village banking? It's important to know because each source where you're going to get the debt as an interest rate. If it's village banking, they have a lot of compound interest rates. If it's the bank, they have a lot of compounding interest rates. If it's just a financial institution or microfinance company, they also have their own way of dealing with interest rates. So it's important to understand the source because the source helps you to know the cost of the debt. You're going to get from the bank. Banks are standardized. The cost that they charge you on that particular loan. If you're going to get from village banking, it's also another issue because village banking has also problems when it comes to handling debt issues. Village banking is very expensive and is a very high risk. So understand the source of your debt to know the likely cost of that particular debt and other associated costs also of debt. If you're getting from the bank, banks have what they call insurance costs. They may be able to do what? They may be able to charge you what is called insurance. So let me just share this short screen with you here just for you to look at this. There's a screen that I'm gonna share just now for you to just look at. This. Okay, there we go. So I've shared this screen here. You can see those are 7 things you must look out for as you are, before you get the debt. The cost of the debt plus associated cost of getting that debt is important to understand. But also, again, number 5 is you have to look at the business view versus the personal view. Are you getting this debt because you have seen a business? Or are you getting this debt because you want to pay rentals? If you're going to pay rentals, you have to understand the money is not going to come back to you. You are putting yourself with more problems. You better off talk to your landlord and are going to borrow money to pay your landlord. But because the money you're going to borrow is going to increase your debt, it's going to come with interest, for example. That means in the following month, it will be difficult for you to pay your landlord because you're supposed to say to somebody, you owe the money with interest, at the same time, settle your landlord, settle your bills, your food, and stuff like that. Before you know it, you're in a cycle of debt every now and then. So it's not a good thing. If you're going to do debt for a business purpose, make sure it's a business you understand inside out. You can't get debt to experiment on a business or to start a business. You get debt to start a business. That's a very wrong idea because when you are starting, there are lots of things to learn. You can't experiment with other people's money. Only get debt for a business when you've established a business, you've established some cash flows, you've learned your lessons, you know your business inside out, you know the focus. That way you can go and get debt. Or when you have seen an opportunity in the environment where if you delay, a competitor is going to move in and grab it from you, then you can go and get debt. Without an opportunity in the environment that is imminent, that cannot wait for you, don't find yourself anywhere near debt. But because debt is going to have an effect on your lifestyle, as you can see number 6. Once you borrow the money, consider how that money will affect your lifestyle. Because you're going to be paying back the money with interest. So how will that affect your lifestyle? Will you need to move from a bigger house into a smaller house? Or will you need to move from an expensive house into a cheaper house? Will you need to stop maybe having, those meals you eat outside over the weekend? Or you are going to be having more of homemade meals? What are you going to do? How will your lifestyle be affected? Will you need to park your vehicle for certain parts of the month to save on fuel? What are you going to do? So when you are getting debt, consider the implication of debt on your lifestyle because debt makes you some sort of a slave. If you borrow money, especially from the bank, you are paying 2 people. You are paying back the bank and also you are paying back somebody who saved money in the bank. The bank is charging you interest for 2 people, for themselves to benefit and for the person who saved money in the bank to benefit because the bank does not give you their money. They give you other people's money. People who save money in the bank are promised an interest rate on their savings. And then the bank gets that money and lends it to you so that you can go to work for somebody else and the bank for them to benefit. So you must understand that debt is going to have a direct impact, of course, on your cash flows. It's extremely important to understand the impact of debt on your cash flows. That's extremely, extremely important. Impact of debt on your lifestyle is extremely important to understand how that's going to affect your lifestyle. But also a plan, all right, for debt. Don't just get debt because it's available. Like, for example, the CDF, you go and get CDF, you're happy. Sometimes people get student loans thinking it's going to be free money, but before they know it, they're in a cycle of hundreds and hundreds of debt. Even if you want to get a degree, you have to assess, is the degree worth getting this particular debt? Because nowadays, a degree is becoming more useless. People are being employed, people are following on social media, people are able to sell, people are able to make short form videos on TikTok and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. People are able to make short form videos to market company products, and people are getting jobs, marketing jobs. So if you're going to do a degree, ask yourself, what is the value of this degree in the next 5 years? From now, is it worth the investment you're going to put in? Because some degrees are dongolistic. They don't deserve you to spend your money on because they won't pay you back the money you're going to spend on them. You just have a paper in your shelf which will not work in any way for you. So even before you get debt, can you plan? Planning is essential to help you understand how you're going to spend the debt. If you're going to spend the first part of the first half of the debt on this project, or maybe you're going to spend on that project, or maybe you're going to spend on yourself, whatever it is, you want to plan for debt. If you're going to pay school fees, also make sure you plan and assess the value of the degree in the next 5 years, because they're going to be in debt for 5 years. You're going to be getting student loans for the next 5 years, paying for your school fees. After which, you should look for a job, begin to work, and then pay back the debt. So you have to analyze the value of the qualification you want to get yourself into debt for, because some qualifications are dongolistic, they are outdated, They don't serve any purpose in the 21st century, and especially in 2023, they just a sheer waste of time and money. So before you pay for a degree or anything like that, please assess the value of that degree, because some courses now are being outdated because of the coming of TikTok and Facebook, Instagram, and social media. Look at the kids who are making money nowadays. They are not even educated. They have no degree whatsoever. All they have is a following, and they make jokes on social media. Companies go to them because they have a following. They hire them to begin to become marketing managers. So imagine you have a marketing degree that you got debt for. Who is going to hire you? Because now companies are hiring somebody with a following, somebody who can just go and make a short form video, post on their social media, people react. The companies are okay with that. Even if you have a marketing degree, nobody's going to follow you now to come and say, can you help us market? Nobody cares about you now because of TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and several social media platforms. Where people are able to just make short form content videos, YouTube, and then they're able to market their products. So you can see the rise in the marketing giants who happen to become the social media influencers, not just people with degrees. Most marketing people right now have no degrees whatsoever. There are people who just have a following. They can't even speak properly, but the companies hire them because they have a following. So it's extremely, extremely important before you contract debt, you understand these things. Even if it's a degree you're getting yourself into, what is the value of your degree in the next 5 years? Because you may get debt or a loan to pay for a degree which won't help you in any way. It is dongolistic. In the next 5 years, most degrees will be outdated. So before you choose a career, you want to get yourself into debt, for plan for it, assess the value in the next 5 years. How will this degree help me in the next 5 years? What will be the return on this particular degree? Imagine, just think of just in our country, or just in Africa, or just around the world. Look at people who have degrees and how broke they are. And look at people who have no degree whatsoever and how they are making so much money for making short form videos and posting on their Facebook pages. That's what you have to think about. Degrees are losing value slowly. So don't get into debt because they have offered you some scholarship somewhere to go and study, and then they ask you to pay some percentage. Most degrees don't have value nowadays. So you want to think about that before you get debt for a degree. So you can get debt either for school. If it's viable, well, go for it. But if it's not something viable, man, you want to think twice. All right? You want to think twice before you can get debt. So these are some of the few things that you must consider before you contract debt. Number one, why do you need the debt? Number two, if you are married, talk to your spouse or fiancé or your family. Number three, consider the source of your debt to help you know the costs that are associated with the debt. Also consider the cost of this particular debt. Will this debt, if you're going to put in a business, will it be able to pay back the loan with interest and also pay back the salaries to your workers and also give you some profit? If the answer is no, leave that debt alone. Consider whether you're getting the debt for business view or personal view. If it's personal view, you want to be very much careful because it's going to affect your lifestyle. If it's business view also, you have to be very much careful because you may lose your assets. So it's extremely important to understand these things. But also the payment effect on your lifestyle. If you are somebody who are used to a certain kind of lifestyle, debt may affect how you live. It's extremely important to look through those things. So guys, this is the first aspect of our debt series. We are going to go into the next aspect in the next session. Unfortunately, we are unable to go to proceed as planned because, what I have just done now is a freestyle. I don't know what questions the presenter had for me from live radio. And because his network is bad, he has logged out, we have decided to continue and just to give you these free bits and pieces. I don't know the question that the gentleman had for me. I wish he was here to ask me the questions he prepared to ask me so that we can go in the way that he had prepared. But unfortunately, Thomas has been able to leave us because of the network issues in his location. So guys, I want to say with this in mind, thank you so very much for joining me this afternoon. I hope that next time we're going to have a better, of course, we're going to have a better, network where Thomas is, so that he may be able to join us and be able to help us, with the question that he had for us. So from now is thank you very much, guys. I'm gonna say have a fantastic day, and bye bye.